All right, hey y'all, we are back for the second part of making these dumplings. So let's just get straight into it. All right, y'all, so in a bowl I have some ground pork. I got, excuse the timer, I'll tell you guys why, but I got some ground pork and I've already prepared my little dumpling circles. So I wasn't able to find any like dumpling wrappers at the store, so I picked up some egg roll wrappers. They're all pretty much very similar in the same kind of like process of making the dough. And just took my mason jar and put it on top face down, and then took a knife and cut around it to make small little dumpling disc. Now it is 10:32 at night, y'all. I am tired, so I just was like, all right, well, this is just gonna have to do with this recipe. So what we're gonna be adding to our pork is some scallions. So I'm gonna just add a generous amount. I don't want to overpower the pork, so I just did about 2 stalks of the scallions. We're also gonna add some kosher salt and just a healthy pinch. I don't want to add too much because there is going to be some soy sauce that I'm going to add. It is low sodium, but I also just still, soy sauce is very salty, so we're just going to add a healthy splash of soy sauce just to give that delicious soy sauce flavor. Now we are going to add in our sesame seed oil. So I'm just gonna add a good healthy amount. I don't want to add too much just because sesame seed oil can be very strong in its flavor profile. I don't have any white pepper, so I'm just gonna use some black pepper, and there's nothing wrong with a little color in it. So this is what it's looking like so far in a bowl. And I'm gonna add this is a half teaspoon, so I'm just gonna add 1 full teaspoon, because that's a half and I did 2 of them, of some sugar. Now the special ingredient that I'm gonna add to this mix is some bitter melon. It is a part of the cucumber family. I'm gonna show you guys what it actually looks like before I cut it up. This is a bitter melon. These bitter melons I got from the Farm Alleged with Sean, which is gonna be in the next episode. And I hear from the research that I've done online, when the melon is like curved like this, the more bitter it is. But it's used in a lot of Asian cuisine, and when you cut it and slice it open, the seeds are in there, just kind of like typically how like a European cucumber is, and it has a very unique taste. So from what I understand in the research that I've done, with bitter melon, you definitely want to season it with some salt very generously. And if you guys can't tell, I'm just gonna scoop some of the bitter melon out. There is some liquid at the end of the bowl, and they say to add some salt to it to remove some of the bitterness. So now what I'm gonna do is rinse this off really good, dry it out, chop it up a little bit more, and just add a touch of it to the pork just to add a new depth of flavor in. And yo, after adding the 1 packet of gelatin to our broth mix, it definitely made everything super duper perfect. So I am just elated with how it came out. So I'm just gonna rinse these off and I'm gonna come right back. Our bitter melon soaking up some of its liquid, and y'all, when they tell you this is bitter melon, bitter melon is bitter melon, y'all. It's bitter, it really is. And so with this being my first time working with it, I'm only gonna add just a little bit of it to the mixture, just because I'm like, that is a lot of flavor going on right there, and I don't want to overwhelm the dumplings too much. But it, like, the bitterness doesn't come in until after. Like, until after you've chewed on it, that's when like all of the bitterness really comes in. So I'm just gonna chop this up into small pieces, just rough chop, and I'm gonna add it into our mixture. And like I said, I really don't want to add too much of this. This is just to add a different flavor profile and to really make it authentic, quite honestly, and just to give it a little something, you know, a little something different. So everything in, and make sure that our pork is just made with a lot of love. And for me, I don't like, when I season my meat, I like to use my hand to mix things and make sure it's well mixed, and that is good, y'all, because let me tell you something, that's what it needs to be. So now we have our mixed really well, and I'd say that's enough, you know, green onion and bitter melon, because I don't want it to be, like I said, overpowered with the bitter melon or any component really. I want you to get a note of each of them. So now that we have this situated, you can, you know, see that all of the ingredients is nice and evenly distributed. We are going to set this all to the side, and we're going to pull out our broth mix, cut that up, and then add this into this mixture. So just give me 1 second and I'll be right back with that. Here we have it. I'm gonna move our dumpling wrappings out the way. This is our broth. Earlier when I shook it, it was jiggling way too much. But now it's perfect. Absolutely perfect. Right? And I guess, I mean, you can take like a spoon or a rubber heat spatula and just gently kind of scrape back some of that fat cap. I mean, it's up to you. If you want more fat, then you can have more fat, but like I said, you could just take a rubber heat spatula or a knife and just scrape some of that fat off. Just gonna take this container and flip it over. Do a little tap to get the jello out. And you know what? Quite honestly, let's just scrape the sides one more time, just so that it's nice and like loosened up. There we go. Ah, perfect! Yay! Okay, so now we have our broth that is all jello-like. Now this part doesn't have to be perfect. Quite honestly, a smoother transition would have been for me to have the cutting board on top and then flip it over so that it was a nice smoother transition. But either way, it's gonna get cut up, so it's really not that big of a deal. And let me scrape off this fat off the cutting board, because that is kind of like, ew, what is that? All right, and so now that we have our broth nice and set up, I'm just gonna cut some slices just like that, and then we're just gonna come in and cube it up. I'm gonna bring my pork back over, my pork mixture, take my handy dandy spatula, scoop all of this goodness up, drop it on in, y'all. And you know, thank God for gelatin, because quite honestly, this was not, it wasn't jelly enough for me. So, and we got like a couple more pieces to go. And I'm not even gonna lie, this is kind of messy. I'm kind of messy right now. Now that we have our fat and broth and bone marrow and all that goodness mixed in here, we are just gonna gently fold our soup gelatin cubes into the pork. Now if it breaks up at this point, that's okay, because we want it to get really well incorporated into the pork. So I definitely feel like this recipe calls for a lot of technique, a lot of patience. It is a traditional Asian steaming box. So I just want to show you guys what it looks like. I actually went down to, I think I was with my cousins and my brother, and we went to, I think, Chinatown or Koreatown out in New York City, and I was like, oh my gosh, I have to get one of these, because I'm like, why not, especially when you're making, you know, true and authentic Asian cuisine. Like, it's a must. And as a culinary enthusiast, why not, right? So this is just what it looks like. It has its holes, and then of course the top to keep the steam in. And so basically we're going to put dumplings on each layer. And it's a 2-layer steaming box. I mean, there's boxes that are like way bigger than this that have multiple different levels of steaming levels. So I love this cute little thing, and it's awesome. It's just, I mean, like, what more could you ask for? And I think I got it for like, what, maybe like 20 bucks, 15-20 bucks. It wasn't even that much money. So now that we have this situated, I just wanted to show you guys that, because that's what we're going to be cooking our dumplings with. And now this is how your pork mixture should look. You should still have little globs of the broth or gelatin broth. And so I have 170 grams of flour. I have my cute little coffee maker from Walmart. I love it. It's like 10 bucks. I have a decent cup of coffee. And I've added just a good healthy pinch of salt to the flour. So I'm just gonna mix that salt in so that it's nice and evenly distributed. And okay, here we go. So I'm just going to measure out 50 grams of water. I'm gonna tear out the bowl. And so here we go. And just slowly but surely pour some water in. And you want hot water, so I poured a little bit too much. I'm at 59 grams, so I'm just gonna pour a little bit out. Wipe some of that excess. Oh, look at that, perfect. We are at 50 grams of water. So I'm gonna be 110% honest with you guys. I didn't like the way the dumplings came out with the egg roll wraps, so I just decided to refilm and do a new video with you guys. So I just poured all of my water in, and I started to mix the dough. Now, being that you're using hot water for this dough, if your hands aren't like chef hands, I would definitely try to get like a rubber heat spatula to start working that flour and water in together and making a dough. And eventually it'll get to a point where it's nice and cool enough. Now if the 50 grams of water isn't enough when you first start out, that's okay. You can always add some more water, but always add a little bit. Don't add over add water, because then you'd have to add flour back in to dry the dough up again. So you just want to just add a little bit of water as you go. And now we pretty much have our dough. It's a little tacky, so I'm gonna put that back in there, get some regular flour, and continue to knead it until it's nice and smooth. Put the dough out, and I'm just gonna continue to keep kneading the dough until it's nice and smooth. Cup the dough into itself. Shape it out and set this off to the side and let it rest for a little bit while it kind of cools. Alright y'all, so I've let the dough rest for a bit, and now I'm just gonna cut it in half, and I'm gonna set this half over there. You can set a knife over there as well. And now you're just gonna take your dough and kind of squish it into a log in a roll. And then you're going to take both your hands and take the palm of your hands and roll out. So I'd say that's rolled out pretty much as good as possible. But that's basically what you want your dough to look like. I have my rolling pin here. I'm just going to get that ready and coat it with flour. Dust off any excess. Give it a little extra roll. And now I have my scale on, and we are going to do about 10 to 15 grams of dough. So I'm going to cut off our first piece, see how much that weighs out to be. Alright, it's 17. We could cut off a little bit to make it close to 15. Alright, it's 16. That is good enough. So now what I'm going to do is take my little dough and flatten it out into a disc as much as possible. And now I'm going to take my rolling pin and roll it out into a round disc as much as possible. I'm just going to stretch this out, and you don't want to break the dough, so you want to be careful with that. If it does end up splitting, you just take it and pinch the dough back together. I still have some leftover filling, and I'm gonna do about a teaspoon of filling, and I'm gonna make sure I get some of that gelatin. And then I'm just gonna bring this up closer to the camera. So basically what we want to do is fold the edges, so here, just like that, and you want to just continue to repeat it until you get fully around a dumpling, and that's what creates those like little ripples that you usually see within a dumpling. So I'm gonna finish that off. Okay, so now that we have this little opening and we have all the edges crimped, now we just want to pull and twist and pinch. Pull, twist, and pinch, and we have a little dumpling. Now, is it perfect? No, because do I make dumplings every day? No, but that's okay. So you just repeat the same process until all your dumplings look nice and cute like this, and as you go, it'll continue to keep getting better. Now for the steaming part, I have my steaming basket. I have some water, about a little bit more than a quarter's weight. So you just want to find a pot where your steaming basket will be able to properly sit on top. And also, if you don't have a steaming basket at home, but you have some type of, like if you don't have a traditional Asian steaming basket, you could always use just, you know, your regular steaming basket if you steam broccoli or anything like that. So what we're gonna do is I'm gonna use a coffee filter, because coffee filter paper is like super duper thin, very porous, as you know. And like I said, you could get them from Walmart, and I paid what, maybe about $2 for these, and it's about 200 filters. And so what I'm gonna do is, just for extra steam to come through, I'm gonna take a toothpick and poke a couple little holes all around. I'm only gonna use one level because I'm just gonna cook about 4 dumplings, but I do have a second level of steaming basket. So while the water's heating up, I'm just gonna poke several holes into the coffee filter paper, and just get all around enough where, you know, everything can still steam. Now I chose coffee filter paper just because I know that that's something that a lot of people may have at home. If not, while you're shopping out, you know, while you're out shopping for the ingredients and the things that you'll need for this recipe, you can always get some Napa cabbage and line your basket with that. Also, another good tip to have when you're steaming your dumplings, once your dumplings are done steaming and you're ready to like have them and eat them, remove them immediately off of the coffee paper, because it can stick and the dough will end up sticking to it. So you don't want to wait long. So I'm just gonna put my little dumplings in, and I have 4 of them. And so this is what they look like. You want to make sure that you space them out real nice and well. And we're gonna cook these and steam them for about 7 to 8 minutes. And I also made a couple extra. So like, let's say hypothetically you guys did make this recipe and there's a lot of excess pork, or you know, dumpling filling and excess dough, you can definitely make your dumplings, and they're so cute. I feel like these came out a lot better than those, but like I said, as you keep going, you'll get the hang of it and become a lot better with it. I don't make dumplings every day, so you know, this is the best that I could do. But like I said, if you do end up having excess dough and excess filling, you can just do them up just like this. You know, get like a small container. I got this off of Amazon, and I'm just gonna seal it up, and so you don't have like rotting pork or anything like that sitting in the fridge. You can just freeze them, and then when you're ready, and maybe let's say, I don't know, there's a week that you don't really have money and you need to have something to eat, you can just pull these out the freezer and have a little something to eat. So yeah, I'm gonna freeze my excess dumplings, and they freeze pretty well. Our water is starting to heat up, so you can see the steam starting to come through, or at least I can. I don't know if it's you know, showing up very visible on camera. And so now what we want to do is, now that we have our dumplings in there, we're gonna cover and we're just gonna let this steam. So I'm gonna let it do what it has to do, let you guys see the steam, and then once they're all nice and ready, then we'll unveil the beautiful dumplings. So it's been about 7 to 8 minutes, and to protect yourself from the steam, you can take like a nice butter knife that's nice and thin, keep your hand far back and lift just like that to reveal your beautiful dumplings, and get them out as soon as possible. So you can just pick them up and get them on a plate and get some dipping sauce together. Ooh, and this is what they look like, y'all. So I'm gonna get some dipping sauce, and we're gonna break into this one because this one has the most soup in it, and we are just going to enjoy this. So don't mind me, I am in chill mode right now. I do have some Thai chili sauce in here. Now I don't have a traditional like spoon for soup dumplings, so I have this wide spoon, and traditionally what you're supposed to do is you're supposed to bite into it a little bit, and then you're supposed to pour the soup out, as you can see. And you have the pork soup or broth, so I'm gonna drink this. Absolutely flavorful, right? Drink the soup out of the dumpling, you dip it in your sauce. So a lot of people like to dip it in, make sure it's nice and coated, make sure you get some sauce inside the dumpling, and let's just have a try. You are watching from Total Care, you know who you are. I just want to thank you for being so patient, and I hope that your daughter really enjoys this episode, and I hope that you guys take the chance to make some fresh dumplings and really, you know, have a mom and daughter moment and enjoy it. But like I said, at the end of the day, thanks so much for tuning in to another episode, and I'll see you in the next one. Peace out.